Coming up on this edition of the Center of It All, we visit a local baker who specializes in wedding cakes, we visit the pets of Centre County PAWS, and we check out one of the largest bluegrass festivals to come to our area. These stories and more coming up next on the Center of It All. Hello and welcome to the Center of It All. Centre County PAWS is a local animal shelter run by volunteers who would do just about anything for their animal friends. You walk into the Centre County PAWS office and you get greeted by smiling faces, not only by the receptionist. This nonprofit organization is filled with animal lovers, and you can see that love when they show you the animals, naming each one like they were their own children.
Well, I'd say our focus here at PAWS is working toward ending overpopulation, pet overpopulation in the Centre County region to start, and doing that by working with the community.
These four-legged friends are always looking for a good home.
Our adoption process is an application process. We have volunteers who process all of our applications, so that's why it's an application process rather than same-day adoptions at this point. So you come in, fill out an application, go over it with our adoption counselor. We try and match you to an appropriate dog or appropriate cat. We want to make sure that your current pets are vaccinated, spayed and neutered, and all of that, and that you're allowed to have your pet where you live. So we will do the adoption within just a matter of a couple of days, whenever works for your schedule and our schedules.
PAWS animals rely strongly on the work of volunteers.
I would say that about 150 volunteers do the bulk of our work here, but we have almost 700 registered volunteers. But like I said, about 150 people are really like boots on the ground all the time, coming in for regular shifts once or twice a week to care for the animals and working during open shifts to process applications and do adoptions.
This organization could not do what it does every day for these animals if it wasn't for a supportive community.
We're totally dependent on community support from everything from taking animals to their vet appointments, to adoption, to writing checks that help us continue our work. We're completely dependent on our community, and our community is very supportive.
One way they give back is through programs to help animal owners in the county.
One of our biggest programs and one of our largest expenses, but it's also one of our most successful programs, is our Spay and Neuter Assistance Program. We offer vouchers for people who are residents of Centre County or they work or go to school in Centre County. Those vouchers can be used at the local vets, any Centre County vet, and they cover a portion of the surgery cost. We just want to make it as easy as possible for people in the community to help us spay and neuter animals so that we don't have quite the demand on us to take in kittens year after year.
All the proceeds from their recent PAWS yard sale went to this program.
We raised about $3,100 to benefit our Spay-Neuter Assistance Program. That would and that is really great for a yard sale, but PAWS yard sale, like some smaller things that other organizations do for us, tend to be what I would consider, on the smaller end of what it brings in. We get the majority of our funding from donations.
If you're an animal lover as well, this may be the organization to get involved with.
Yeah, of course. Everyone who's here, they have a shared love for animals. Some are particularly in love with cats and particularly in love with dogs, and it's incredible to see the friendships that people actually make here. You come here to take care of the animals and you end up meeting like-minded people and making really good friends.
Visit centercountypaws.org for more information. And coming up, we stop by a local bakery to check out some elegant cake designs. Summer is a busy time for weddings, and a great shop for wedding cakes in our area is Dolce Vita Desserts. Mary Hilliard, owner and mastermind behind Dolce Vita Desserts in Lamont, has had a love of cake making since she was a child, baking with her mother.
My mother was a baker, and my sisters and I learned to bake at home with her. She made wedding cakes and special cakes for different people.
Mary put her love of baking on the back burner and went to Penn State for math, but found her way back to the bakery business when she opened Dolce Vita in 2011.
I worked as an actuary for many years. When my children were young, I decided to give that up and stay at home with them. And we moved here about 12 years ago, so I thought I might get back into my field and decided that I enjoyed baking much more, and just started baking for people in the neighborhood and people that I met, and it just kind of grew out of that.
She uses many recipes that were handed down from her mother and grandmother for each of her meticulously designed wedding and birthday cakes.
A lot of them are my grandmother's recipes. I really couldn't say how far back they go because they were passed down to my mother, so I know I can trace them back at least to my grandmother because she would say that they were her mother's recipes. I have some that are like great aunt's recipes and different family members. My sister has come up with some recipes that I've used as well. She's also both of my sisters are very good bakers.
But she says her math degree comes in handy around the shop.
I think it's a really important skill to have. One might not think that that would be something important to have, but we do a lot of measuring and, changing recipes and, to make them larger or smaller depending on what we need. So I think math's a very good skill to have when you're baking.
One thing she hasn't inherited from her mother was the elaborate modern-day cake designs. That she had to learn by trial and error.
She mostly did buttercream. She never worked with fondant, so that's something they really just didn't work with back then. So that's something that I had to learn how to do.
Summertime is her busiest time of year for weddings.
A couple weeks ago was probably our biggest weekend. We had 7 wedding cakes. I really don't like to do much more than that because I like to be able to give each cake the attention it deserves for the brides. But typically, probably 3 or 4 weddings a weekend through the summer is pretty normal.
Her favorite part about this season is making a one-of-a-kind cake for each bride.
I think I really enjoy working on the wedding cakes and the custom cakes because they're individualized. They usually reflect the person's personality or their wedding theme, and so it's really fun working on that, especially when we get to take it to the venue and set it up and see how it's all tied together.
I'm getting my own beautiful wedding cake from Dolce Vita next weekend. Now when we come back on the center of it all, Mel got 150 pounds of cherries off her cherry tree, and she's putting them to good use. Welcome back to the center of it all. Thanks to my special request, Mel is teaching me how to make crepes with her favorite Eastern European recipe.
A few weeks ago, the host of our show, Sarah Lagerman, asked me if I'd ever made crepes on the center of it all. My answer was no, but what a great idea. In my food world, crepes consist of 2 fabulous dishes. The classic French citrusy orange crepe Suzette and the famous cheese-filled, berry-flavored Eastern European blini. Which one will I make today? Let's get started and find out. Whether you're making crepes or blintzes, the place to start is with the batter. And the only difference between a crepe batter and a blintz batter is that blintzes are a little eggier. So instead of 2 eggs, I'm adding 3. I guess you've guessed, I'm making blintzes today. I'm going to add a half a cup of milk and a 1/4 cup of water. Half a cup of flour, teaspoon of sugar because this is going to be served as a dessert or a breakfast, 1/4 tablespoon of salt. I'm going to take my handy dandy granny mixer and I'm just going to whisk this. This is so much easier than a standard whisk where you stand around and go like that. This works wonderful. If you don't have one of these, pick it up. Until it's just about smooth. And last, I'm going to drizzle in 2 tablespoons of melted and slightly cooled butter. And now we really give it a good whisk. How easy is that? And the most important thing about making a crepe batter or a blintz batter is to cover this and put it in the refrigerator for at least an hour and up to overnight, because that's going to give the gluten in the flour time to relax, and it's going to make the batter the crepe-like consistency that you need. Skip that step and you're going to fail at crepe making. The cheese filling for classic cheese blintzes is nothing more than a melange of soft, mildly flavored but slightly tangy cheeses. So what I've got here is 4 ounces of very soft cream cheese, a 1/4 cup of large curd cottage cheese, and a full cup. I'm using real deal farmer's cheese. If you can't find this, feel free without any compromise at all to substitute ricotta. Cottage cheese is nothing more, cottage cheese. Farmer's cheese is nothing more than cottage cheese that's had the liquid pressed out of it. I'm adding 1 egg. And because I'm going to be topping my blintzes with my homemade cherry preserves, I'm adding a secret ingredient, which is about 1 teaspoon of cherry extract. Feel free to substitute vanilla extract. On a low speed of our electric mixer, we're just going to blend all this until it's smooth and creamy. Oh, that looks wonderful. Oh, we missed a little bit there. Okay, I'm going to scrape down the sides of this bowl. I'm going to cover this, and I'm going to put this in the refrigerator to chill while we head to the stovetop and make our crepes. The classic crepe pan is round, and it's about 9 or 10 inches around, and my batter is out of the refrigerator and rested for about an hour. It's been chilled. I've heated my crepe pan over medium-high heat, because you really want a semi-hot pan for this. And in this size pan, which is 10 inches, I'm going to need to add about 7 tablespoons, and you can hear a sizzle already. That means my pan is hot enough. So I'm getting about 7 tablespoons of crepe batter in here. And I want to swirl this around. I'm left-handed for the camera, so I'm trying to get this so Andrew can see it really good. I'm going to put this back on the heat, and I'm going to let this sit for about 45 seconds. I'm not going to touch it. We're going to notice that it's going to start to cook around the outsides, and then it's going to start to look dry. And we have to be patient. I have to think of nice things to say about crepes, except I love them. And after the first one is made, you can make 2 or 3 dozen of these in 20-25 minutes, because they cook really, really fast, 45 seconds a piece. You can see this is steaming, and we're coming up on it. The surface is starting to look really dry, and my asbestos fingers are going to, what I'm going to start to look for is the ease of which I can put the spatula underneath. Now, this isn't quite done. If you can't slide a spatula underneath your crepe easily, you leave it on for 2 or 3 more seconds, and you just keep on checking it through the whole process. Now you can see we're starting to get some bubbling here, so we're really close to this one being ready to flip. first one is usually the hardest. I'm going to let that go for another 2 or 3 seconds because that didn't slide as easy as I wanted it to. Couple more seconds. Spatula underneath. There we go. Flip and roll. Let it hit the pan until it starts to slide around on its own. Slide it onto a plate. Keep making and stacking. Now it's finally time to fill our blintzes. And I've placed one of the crepes on a nice little plate. And I'm going to fill each one, you don't want to overfill these, with about 4, maybe 5, a generous 4 tablespoons of filling. The standard roll for a blintz roll is to take the side closest to you, lift it up over the top, fold the left and right hand sides in towards you. I kind of press down so that I'm folding like an envelope, flip it over, flip it back, that's the hard part, that's the tricky part, and then just kind of tuck that edge underneath so that you kind of make a pretty little envelope and just place it on a plate. And I'm just going to keep on filling and wrapping 6 of these today. I've melted 4 tablespoons of salted butter in the bottom of my electric skillet, and I love to use my electric skillet for making blintzes because this allows me to perfectly control the heat. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place, it also allows me to cook 6 or 8 of these at a time, which is really nice too. So I'm going to just place all of these in on a not too high of a heat at first. All 6 of them. Nice little sizzle going on. I'm going to put on the same plate a couple pieces of paper towel so that when they come out they have a place to drain. And I'm just going to fry these until they're golden brown on both sides, and I'm only going to turn them once, and that's only going to take 2 to 3 minutes per side. Crepes and blintzes. Crepes are classic citrus. Blintzes are classic berries. Be classic. Be sure to top your blintzes with your favorite berry preserves. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.
Now when we come back, we're at a music festival happening this weekend. Welcome back. There is so much going on this weekend, from the People's Choice to Arts Fest and the Remington Ryde Bluegrass Festival at the Grange Fairgrounds.
We're on the 9th annual Remington Ryde Bluegrass Festival here at the Centre County Grange Fairgrounds. We got bluegrass for 4 straight days, all day long, over 12 hours of bluegrass each day here at the fairgrounds.
I'll be around the shack till the mail train gets back, and I'm holding my sweet baby's arms. Thank you so much, folks. That, to us, is bluegrass music. That is what the epitome of bluegrass music, good, solid, traditional bluegrass.
You're going to see nothing but bluegrass, and I keep my festival pretty much the old style, traditional style bluegrass.
The festival has some of the best bluegrass music you'll see in the area.
They're about all national touring acts that they'll see all weekend and here at the festival. This year there's over 15 national acts, for the weekend. So they're seeing just some of the best talent that bluegrass has to offer. Grand Ole Opry acts, they're all here. So it's just a great atmosphere, and if you've never experienced bluegrass music, it's something you really got to go to and experience.
And there is no shortage of music. It's happening all day and night.
The stage shows usually happen around noon to 10 p.m. And then at night you have jamming all throughout the grounds, and we have workshops for people who play music for guitar, bass, banjo, mandolin. So if you bring them, you could, don't charge you anything. You go to workshops during the day and a lot of jamming. So just everything, 24/7 pretty much, you can get into something.
John Stroh has got the details on cryotherapy at CryoZone in State College.
Whether you're a high-level athlete, a weekend warrior, or just experiencing life's aches and pains, there's a new method to treat those sore joints and muscles. It's called whole-body cryotherapy. What is cryotherapy? Tyler Smith, former Penn State basketball player and owner of the CryoZone in State College, explains.
So what happens is when you step into the cryosauna, an ultra-cool air will circle around you. We use a nitrogen gas to lower the temperature in the chamber anywhere from minus 166 to minus 275 degrees Fahrenheit. So it sounds unbearable, but it's actually really surprisingly tolerable. And what happens is the body responds to that real intense cold by forcing all the blood to your core. It's going to pick up a lot of oxygen and nutrients, and then from there, when you step out, all that nutrient-rich blood is going to rush back to your extremities. An ice bath is only going to lower your skin temperature to about maybe 55, 60 degrees. With this, your skin temperature will drop to about 32 to 35 degrees, and when that happens, the body just says, hey, we can't fight this cold, we have to protect our vital organs. Tell people it's a little bit like if you have to run outside in the middle of winter and you're only wearing your pajamas and you have to grab your paper or your mail and then you run back in. It's, oh, I'm really chilly, but I'm okay.
Because treatments are so brief, cryotherapy is completely safe and can be used to treat a host of different issues.
It's back pain, knee pain, any kind of joint issues. We've had people come in here after their surgeries, after ACL surgeries where their knee just balloons up. We've seen guys' knees shrink 1 inch to 1.5 inches and get that swelling out, so it can help their rehab and basically allows them to rehab faster. They get to their range of motion a lot faster. Whether you're looking to just decrease joint pain in a safe, non-invasive manner, or you're trying to recover faster from maybe your training or even just weekend warrior type stuff.
To learn more about cryotherapy, log on to cryozonepa.com or call 814-954-CRYO. For the center of it all, I'm John Stroh.
Well, that's all for this edition of the Center of It All. For more great WHVL content, log on to our YouTube page and like us on Facebook. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.